you hardcores. You know who it is. I'm joined by Terry. How are you doing, Terry?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. First of all, we've got Martin a fire on there and Bricktop. What's the
Two
conne-
icons.
What's the connection?
Two icons, man. Like, who would have thought, Frank Warren, one of the greatest rugby club owners in history, one of the greatest promoters in history.
Yeah, he's stood the test of time, Bricktop, hasn't he?
Yeah, one of the maddest things, wasn't it? Like, I think he was part owner of the Bedford Blues rugby team when rugby went professional, but, just couldn't make it work, basically.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think to my profile thumbnail? Some people are actually making fight camp Eddie Hearn action figures. I mean, Eddie Hearn must love that, eh?
Who bought it? That's the question. Like, I
Who
understand the
put the money
weirdos.
up?
Yeah, I understand there's a couple of saddos who'd want to make it as a tribute, but who the hell's buying this?
Well, I mean, Dominic Ingle brought a single out, didn't he? Looking for Fast Car Eddie, and now he's rinsing him on Boxing King Media daily.
It's also adage, isn't it? When you're on top, you're untouchable, but that doesn't last forever.
The rats have jumped ship, haven't they?
Ah, mate, yeah. But once a rat, always a rat.
I'm not being funny, but Eddie, he's. A lot of people have done well out Eddie, haven't they? Really, and he seems to have been hung out to dry, doesn't he, by a lot of people.
So I stand by this. There are people who owe their careers to Eddie Hearn, and they need to go down with the ship, basically.
Yeah.
But you see them start to slither away. So that's not good to see. And hopefully everyone else sees them for who and what they really are.
Obviously, you probably heard that there's a bit of beef, should I say, between Spencer Oliver and Conor Benn's team. But Spencer Oliver's having to do his job, and he's at Talksport now. There can't be any favours. Eddie's not there to nurse him at Sky, is he?
It's a strange one though, because Spencer Oliver does favors for his mates, right? And he
Yeah.
did with Joshua.
Yeah.
He was he was bending himself in knots, like
Yeah.
trying to stick up for Joshua after Usyk. So we know that he's not always impartial. But here, yeah, he's probably just bitter that he's off the gravy train. So he's like, no, 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 no. I'm gonna stick it to him too.
Yeah, do you feel that circumstances have put people in positions where they've now had to cross the street and they're in another camp that they've had to do their jobs for their income and there's no favours involved now? Every man for themselves, innit?
Yeah, I think they're just doing what's best for business. Like Spencer Oliver will probably tell you Fraser Clark's one of the best heavyweights in the world. He has to. But he'll happily hammer someone like a Fabio Wardley, for example. So I get it. You've got to pay the bills, and part of it's also we're in an entertainment business, so he's trying his best to entertain.
Where do you see Coogan's role in all this now? Because it's looking a bit dated for them, innit, now, even though he's a good interviewer. They're looking very dated, I think.
I think people just see through IFL now. Now, before IFL was kind of this sort of edgy channel that gave you content no one else could deliver, but you got kids like the Boxing King media guy who are doing a better job, by the way.
Yeah,
Shows up
fantastic. Fantastic.
yeah, 100% prepared, mate. You got that on one side, Russ,
Yeah.
and then you've got the other guy that I quite like, Based Boxing Basement. So he's sort of like the other end of the spectrum as well, where he just goes after whoever he goes after. But you've got all these flavors of content now that IFL can't keep up with. Do you know what I mean? IFL's like the BBC basically, and all these new guys like Netflix and Disney Plus.
Yeah, yeah, they are. It's changing times, isn't it? Changing times. Right. We've had the starter. We'll go for main course now. Conor Benn's gone on with Piers Morgan, and it looks to me like it looked like in stages, and there were no flow to it. So I'm wondering if they pieced stuff in and stuff that can't go out and that. Do you know what I mean? This is why it were delayed when it coming out, because normally Piers puts things straight out, doesn't he? But there were like a delay on it, wasn't it, while they premiered it? You agree?
So I don't know much about the timeline, but I do know that everyone I've spoken to has talked about how it wasn't even well edited. Like
Yeah.
the cuts don't look professional.
Yeah, our tech guy picked up on it, so I thought, yeah, he's right. But do you think the questioning were good? Do you think he could have gone in a bit heavier, or do you think they looked like they were a bit frightened to go too heavy on him? He were pretty food and drink for Piers Morgan, though, wasn't it, really? Because he lost didn't he, Ben? He lost it. The mask slipped, didn't it, after 5 minutes?
I thought Piers Morgan didn't have to do anything. He just literally walked a straight line. You know, when you're with a liar, Russ, when you're with a liar, all you need to do is just stick to your story and watch them wobble all over the place. And that's all Piers Morgan did. Once he found the hook for the whole interview, which was, why don't you go out there and prove your innocence? He didn't have to do anything else after that. But Piers wasn't prepped, so he didn't know what to go for.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
Simon Jordan did, though, didn't
he? Even him, like they're not smart enough to set these sorts of traps. You see, this is the thing. People assume when you get someone on, you just blast them with questions till you break them down and they're guilty. That's not what you do, and that's not what good cross-examination is. Good cross-examination.
Talk themselves into it, don't you?
Or you just leave them with nowhere to go. Leave them with two options that are both options that favor you. That's normally the best way, and then they'll just stop talking. Like, oh God, he's got me, and then that's normally the end of the interview. So I imagine that's happened a couple of times where Conor was like, "Can you stop filming?" And they've had to start again.
Yeah, they've it shook boxing, hasn't it? And the mad thing is, Conor Benn's now coming out on his social medias, going on about how he's trending and stuff like that. Does he just not get it, or is he just trying to play pantomime villain? Putting screenshots up of what he's trending and all this. He's not even won a belt.
I think I said it on my episode. He was just behaving like a rich kid who wasn't getting his own way. That's all.
Do you think
petulant child?
Yeah. Do you think Ohara Davis didn't do him any favors when he came out saying Conor Benn's now bigger than ever? He's not. I mean, he's not won a belt, but the bragging about he's bigger than ever, the missing the point and the rubbing everybody up the wrong way with these one-liners that come out. He's bigger than ever now. Look how big he is now, and
but he is though. The thing is, Russ, he is though.
He is now, yeah, and they're going to use that to advantage, and that's what you're going to hear in next few months. Look how big he is now. Look at his profile. And Eddie's going to try and turn it that way and turn it into a positive thing, but they're going to have to play pantomime villain away from home, aren't they, now?
Oh, that horse, I say it every time we speak, don't I? The solution's simple. We don't pay attention to Conor Benn when he fights. You're not going to hurt him any other way. Nothing else matters. Not this episode, not my episode, not next week's episode. That doesn't affect him. He can turn that off. What will affect him is when the arena is only 10% full.
Do you know what I think could be possible? They could be doing this, and he could be like this guy that took on the establishment and fights away from home, and he's a bigger star than ever. But he's a pantomime villain, and he's going to be giving it all that now. And he's going to be giving it all this and heated seats, and I've got the best lawyers and all this. He's just going to rub everybody up the wrong way, isn't he?
I hope your seats are heated, though, Russ.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling, isn't it? Now, but look, we've said this before, Russ. What Hearn will do is he will stack the card. He'll stack the Conor Benn card. So he'll say, oh, okay, you don't want to see Conor Benn. I get it. You're not going to come to the arena for Conor Benn. You're not going to pay the pay-per-view for Conor Benn. Okay. But here's what I'm going to put on. And he'll find people to put on. He'll put on that Bam Rodriguez. He'll he'll pull out this family silver for it. Do you see what I mean?
Mm.
And then the fans will be like, yeah, I'm not there to watch Conor Benn. I'm just going to watch all this other lot, but I'm not going to watch Conor Benn. But by then it's too late. So you got to make a real stand and say, this is a Conor Benn and a Matchroom problem, because Matchroom should have distanced themselves from it.
Mm. What do you think will happen with media now? Because every time anything happens with Conor Benn, Coogan puts a post out. Is he like the PR guy for him, for Conor Benn? And will other media guys now be refused Conor Benn access? Because a few of them aren't exactly been Team Conor Benn, have they? And he'll have a long list now who's wronged him, won't he?
I think IFL Coogan particular, tough position, right? Because he knows them both like in front of the camera, but he also knows them personally. So it's hard for Coogan to hammer people.
To his kid, isn't he? Is Coogan godfather to his kid?
Oh, I hope not.
Somebody told me, well, I'm not sure, but I do know Coogan's godfather to Billy Joe's niece because he's got a tattoo on her arm. She showed me it. So they can't exactly. They're going to be biased, aren't they? In anything, they're in awkward positions. Like when you're getting close to people like Billy Joe and Conor Benn and that, and Dylan White and that, you can't go against them, can you? You've always got to go for them, haven't you?
We've all been in that
position, can't you?
We've all been in that position. You've been in that position before.
Yeah. Well, I just
yeah. Well, there's certain people you won't hammer though, right? Because they're your friends. Nah. They're other people, but they're your friends, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to hammer your mates because you're like, I've got to live in the real world, and in the real world, these people are my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, people are going to say, you never mention about Huey's man strength. It's like I've just said, Huey's still waiting for his man strength, but he'll be getting it soon. And I'll let you know when. I'll let you know when he gets it. I don't know what year that's going to be.
Well, but as long as you're honest about it, so I'll always say, look, this is where I'm biased for these reasons. I'll always say that up front, so people have to expect it.
It's easy, isn't it, to be romanced by fighters. I mean, I've seen Dennis go head over heels with some fighters and raving about them to me, and I'm like, well, I don't get that. But then again, it's opposite. He feels that way when I were going on about certain fighters. He'd be like, no, I don't think he's got it. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember the Frankie Gavin phase.
Well, not Frankie Gavin, because Dennis won Frankie Gavin. Don't forget when that class of 2008. Listen, they were all putting the packages together for, obviously, Frankie Gavin, what big target, wasn't he? Saunders and them. Even though Gale won't gold, he want the big target, you know. But hey, you've listened. You know, I was thinking the other day, I was going through Attercliff, and I saw this cop car coming up behind me, and I thought, I'm checking my speed. I thought, I'm all right. He went by me inside, and it was the same road, you know, where Billy Joe and Frankie Gavin took a chase, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Billy Joe driving. Honestly, it takes some knackers to go quick down there, you know. Hey, listen, Phil Jeffries took me down there 100 mile an hour in a black Range Rover. Me and my mate Pat, I swear to God, we were sat in back. I felt I needed a new nappy, mate. I swear to God, honestly.
And the thing with those Range Rovers, Russ, is they're quite woolly on the suspension as well, so you genuinely feel like it could roll over.
There were me, Thomas Somber, and Pat sat in back, and I thought, oh, God, what's going on here? It was so.
How did all three of you fit?
Me, Thomas Somber, and my mate Pat. What, back in a Range Rover? Come on.
Yeah, because that's old Porky days as
well. Yeah. Well, you get four in back of a Range Rover. I probably took two seats. So getting back to sorry.
And then one seat for the chain as well, Russ.
Yeah. Oh, that big chain, I ain't got that no more. That with a big anchor on. So getting back to Conor Benn then, is it Manny Pacquiao then in Saudi, do you think, Terry?
I don't think so.
No.
I just don't. I don't think that's what you want to come back to if you're Manny Pacquiao. Like you're a Hall of Fame guy. Like if you're coming back to prove a point. Like Conor Benn's not a point you're trying to prove, because what's Manny now? 44, 45. He hasn't got many proper fights in him, if he's got any at all. So why wouldn't you go after a Keith Thurman, for example.
Yeah.
You know, get that name brand value and know that that win is more meaningful than a Conor Benn win.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Conor Benn's gonna have to fight somebody now to shrug this he's a cheat tag off, isn't he?
Look, until he fights a proper name, he's still a cartoon character, right? Like Campbell Hatton. They're cartoon characters, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've been told that they're good, but actually there's no evidence of that. Remember, Conor Benn would have been a pro 7 years this year.
Yeah, 7 years, yeah.
Still no win where we can go, oh my God, he is good.
Yeah, 7 years is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, he's going to have one of those kind of Lerone Richards careers where it's just really long with no names on it.
Like a Boazzi.
Yeah, he's headed that way too.
He's heading that way, isn't it, Boazzi? I was about to say that. He's heading that way, Boazzi. All right, then. We'll move on to Fury Usyk. It looks like it's dead, doesn't it?
It's either dead or it's done.
I mean, if they can't get an undisputed on for 20 years, it's 20 years now since Lennox Lewis, isn't it? What are we doing here? We've got all these heavyweights. They can't get this on. It's not good.
It feels like it's going to get done. Like when I saw Gary Neville do the thing with Usyk, I was like, they're not doing this for nothing. This is a sign that something's building here. You know, it feels like they're storylining it. So it may actually be done already. They're just going to drag it out. So people are like, oh, please just make the fight.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? Do you feel that Fury don't want it, or do you feel that there's more millions to be made without risking losing your status as the champ?
But where though, Russ? Where can you make more money?
Well, I'm assuming Tyson's got other business interests and he's put his time into that, can't he, instead of fighting Usyk. I mean, they're talking wrestling or Ungano and Netflix and books and more books coming out. I don't know.
But it's nothing without the undisputed, and he knows that. Like the Fury brand, if he does beat Usyk,
oh, it'd be a fruit roof, wouldn't it? They'd be Michael Jordan status, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, well, in the boxing world,
maybe not that, maybe not that state, but it'd be as high as he can go in boxing, wouldn't it? Yeah, be a top at tree with Canelo, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you wouldn't even be saying he needs to fight Joshua at that point. You'd be like, nah, he's good. His career is fine.
Yeah. Ohara Davis did well, didn't he?
One of my favorite kids, has been for a long time. You know that, Russ. Like when all the time you and I have spoken, like I've got so much love for that kid.
He can crack.
I've known Ohara.
He can crack.
Can crack. He can actually box. When he puts his mind to it, he can box. He's annoying to be in the ring with because
I think he's got concentration problems, Terry, and that's all.
In the ring or out the ring? In the ring, no.
In the ring, no. What?
No,
why do you think it's been a long career then to get to where he is now?
I think he's had the wrong people. He's fought to prove a point instead of fighting because he enjoys it. A lot of times, like, you can fight angry at the world, but as you move up the levels, if you don't enjoy actually just fighting people, you're not going to put the work in training camp the same way, and you're not going to feel the same way in the ring. I think he's just matured, Russ, where he's now like, yeah, I just enjoy hitting people with left hooks, and that's what I want to be really good at. And he was against Ritson. So fair play to him for that. I thought he boxed well. Overall, I've loved seeing how far this kid's come from. You know, I remember when he was trying to get selected for the Olympics all those years ago, and I was like, this kid will try anything. And then just seeing how far he's come, that this is a kid you used to see on Christmas Day on YouTube, just training. You know, him, Anthony Yard, Little Junior, Big Junior, and Tunde would all be training at Chisora's gym on like a Christmas Day. So he's always been a workhorse. He's the model pro for me. A lot of times people say, who's an example of a good professional? Ohara Davis.
Is he a gym rat, Ohara, yeah?
When have you ever seen him fat? Never.
No, he always looks in shape, doesn't he?
Yeah, doesn't he doesn't do anything else. Like his life used to be video games, gym, home. That's it. And so he's never tried to be the man about town, all that sort of stuff that people try to portray in the media. He's just a really grounded kid who boxing is the only thing that allowed him to be loved.
Do you think that when he was with Matcham that they had him acting goat and all that, and that he wasn't really him?
Oh,
Did he dye his hair gold?
yeah. I think that's just a tribute to me, though.
Yeah. Gold.
So no, but look, you know what, Russ? Like Ohara would come down to our gym back in the day, right? Just a quiet kid. He'd sit and watch the sparring. He'd talk to everyone. He'd give the kids some tips. He was just a joy to be around. So I always found it weird when I saw the media stuff. I was like, I always think, but he doesn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But you know what Eddie was like then? He was like, you go get yourself seen by any means necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I think it's caught on that much now in the last 10 years, this WWE build-up stuff that we've now got Usyk, Joe Joyce, and Fury doing Hulk Hogan and Kurt Angle carry-ons at side at ring, haven't we?
But it's weird, right? Because people say they don't want to see that, but most fans do want to see that sort of nonsense. They do.
Well,
that's what gets traction, Russ.
It's nonsense, though, isn't it? I don't want to see that. I just want to see. Let's get it on.
You know, if you're going to steal anything from wrestling, at least do the contract signings in the ring. I can stomach that. Like if people sign the contracts in the ring and said it's happening now, okay, fine. But all of this, you're getting it next, spitting on each other and kicking Toblerones and stuff. Nah, it's not for me.
You know, wrestling, it's not like it used to be. I mean, if you go look at Hulk Hogan's debut on telly, 1979, have you seen it? Have you seen what he did to that bloke?
No, I haven't seen that.
Go look on Google, right? Hulk Hogan debut. There's a bloke there. It's about 1979. It's one of the earliest videos of him, and he's got this bloke. And I swear to God, unbelievable. Now it all looks to me like it's a bit fake. Do you know what I mean, kind of thing?
But it is fake, though, right? It's an incredibly painful way to fake a storyline. But yeah,
I remember days of Mick McManus on World of Sport, sat at my grandma's on a Saturday afternoon.
God, Raz.
And Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks.
Yeah, I remember Giant Haystacks.
Oh, Jesus. Oh. Women's boxing, Terry. It needs a big fight, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just needs it needs women to just fight each other more often. I think that should be the differentiator between the women and the men. Women should just be fighting each other regularly. They'd make a lot more money doing it that way.
Yeah. Do you think Taylor Serrano will happen in Dublin, or do you think Eddie don't want to go to Ireland? Because I don't think he fancies Ireland, me.
I always found it odd that Taylor Serrano would happen in Dublin, because you're like, well, you did Madison Square Garden. You told us it was a huge sellout. Okay, run it back there. Why would you come to a smaller arena in Ireland to do that? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't think Serrano was ever the target, to be honest with you. I think this was a warm up. Let's put Katie Taylor on in a small arena in Dublin. Yeah. Let's put on a really good event so that when we do come back for Taylor Serrano too, at Croke Park or the Aviva, yeah, now the public want to be involved. You know, that's how Eddie does it. He'll come in small initially just to get the place used to Eddie Hearn and the Matchroom thing. He'll make a really good event, and then bang, the second one will be the one that, you know, everything will be on StubHub and it'll sell out in 30 seconds allegedly, the usual stuff he does.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, moving sideways. All right, you want to click on part 2, pal?
No worries, mate.
Yes.
Porky's Corner is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Site Solutions. They are specialists in civil engineering and demolition contracts for the construction industry. Interested parties should visit their website or contact Porky's Corner for a referral at porkycorner@mail.com.